Welcome everyone so much for signing up for the masterclass. I called it Magnetic to Millionaire Mindset for the new program that I've created. We are 9 weeks into our beta launch, and it has been absolutely amazing. It's all about creating that magnetic energy when you are manifesting or when you are looking to do that next level thing in your life. You become the magnet for your dreams. Super grateful for all of you to be here. We have so much to cover tonight, some really great information. We're going to bust through some of those limiting beliefs that we might have. We are going to work on identity shifting and money blocks so that we can be our bold, beautiful, amazing selves. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mindy Lishman. I came from Florida, moved to Costa Rica 3.5 years ago, came here on a vacation and manifested a house. I was not expecting to do that, but it happened. And I realized after I got into this particular modality of work that I had been playing it in the energy of what would it feel like to live there? What would it feel like to live in Costa Rica? And we'd met some friends who were showing us around at lots. When I say us, it was my now ex. And they were showing us around at lots. They were taking us hiking, kayaking, and playing in the energy. And that's the energy that we need for manifestation. You know, we get so attached to the results or so attached to how that thing's going to come to us, we actually end up stopping the results. So that's the stuff that we're talking about tonight. These are the concepts and the ideas that will help you manifest faster and sooner. So a little more background on me. I was 25 years in the real estate business. And in 2013, I got into a network marketing company that I absolutely loved. Problem was, later on, I realized I didn't love myself. I thought I was this businesswoman after years of being in real estate, and I had quite a successful real estate business. I thought I knew how to do all the right things. I was going to the network meetings and I was a shy girl, so that didn't come natural to me. I was, sending out my text messages to talk to people. I was meeting with people one-to-one, but the energy that I was bringing into each and every one of those meetings was far from magnetic. And that for me was a missing piece because I was going in head down typically. I was really good in my real estate career. I'd been doing it for a long time. I knew my way around. But in this particular business, I just never brought the energy into the transactions. And so is it any wonder that I would build a big team and it would fall apart? I'd build a big team and it would fall apart. I thought I was doing the personal growth, but I really hadn't been doing the personal growth the way I thought I was. I was going to the big seminars. I'd be on the rah-rah train for about 2 weeks, and 2 weeks later, boom, fall off the side of the mountain. And it happened every single time. Like I walked on the hot coals. I've broke the arrow on my esophagus, broke so many boards, but yet here I am. That was 2013 to 2022, and I hadn't had that major breakthrough. But what happened when I found this transformational work is I realized this is brain science. This is nothing more than brain science. And if I knew how to reprogram those neural pathways, if I could figure out how to do that sooner and faster, everything would change. And that's exactly what happened. So I came down here December of 2021 on a vacation to Costa Rica. Within 3 weeks, manifested the opportunity to buy the house. I had already heard that I was supposed to be a life coach and a meditation. That was my intuition. So we're going to talk about intuition tonight. And when we learn how to tap into that intuition, you are going to make the right decisions. And tonight, my intention for all of you is that you have a breakthrough like what I had, so that when you leave this webinar tonight, you are leaving with some information that can actually help you get to that next level yourself. So let's go ahead and jump right in then. So one of the things I want to talk about with manifestation, the most important part of manifestation is our energy. So like I said, when I was in the network marketing business, I thought I was doing all the right things. I was going to the meetings, I was doing the networking, I was doing all that things, but the energy I was taking into those meetings was a wah, wah, wah energy. So one of the things that we're going to work on tonight so that we can reach those great big goals that we have is energetically align with our dreams, energetically align with the person who is living that life right now, because you can never get to your dream. You have to come from your dream. And when I say that, think about a dog on a leash. You know, your dog has never been off the leash and you're walking this great big dog, and all of a sudden it gets off the leash and it flies like it is just out, right? That's what our dreams are doing. We have our dream so tight on this leash on how is it going to come, and I expect the outcome, and I have this time frame on it. And energetically, we're holding the reins or the leash on our own manifestations, on our own dreams. So when we let go of the how and we let go of how is it going to show up, it's going to show up better than you could have ever expected. And I'm sitting in this home here in Costa Rica on a lake with beautiful views of the volcano and rainforest and all the things, because think about it. I was just kind of playing around looking at lots to buy. My income, or my bank account, I should say, at that time did not say, oh yeah, you go out and buy a second home in another country. I had a house in Florida. And I had high taxes and high insurance and all the stuff that goes with having a home. Right? But I wasn't attached. I was just thinking, wow, that would be fun. That would be nice. I like it there. This is a really cool country. I love the people. I could learn how to speak Spanish. You know, I can adjust. And then it showed up. 3 weeks. So that's how we reach our goals. We have to let go of the how. So let's hold that high frequency. Let's hold that safe space so that we can do some honest reflection tonight and get into that expansive energy. We'll talk about the big picture dreams. And this is step number 1. We have to have a dream and we have to decide on the dream. Most of us have been living a life where we think small. So let's say that you've purchased a new Honda. Your manifestation, you want to manifest another new Honda because you really enjoyed your Honda. I say that I had a Honda Ridgeline. It was my favorite car ever, like ever in the whole world. But you want to manifest a Honda. Well, that's not really thinking big because you've already done that. So then what would you want to manifest that's bigger than that? Well, maybe you want to manifest a second home. Maybe you want to manifest your dream vacation and flying your entire family first class on that dream vacation. Or the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the questions that we ask. If you ask big questions, you get big answers. You get big solutions. So you can ask the question, how am I going to pay my bills this month? How am I going to cover that unexpected bill that came in the mail? Or you could ask, how am I going to go to the south of France for a month and make $10,000 while I'm there? Or 20,000 or 30,000, whatever it is that your goal is. Do you see how that has an entirely different energy to it? When you ask this big question, and every question has an answer, you're going to get a big answer. So the roadmap to transformation is first decide on your dream. And most of us have forgotten how to dream. And why did we forget how to dream? Life happens, right? When we're little, we're dreaming that, you know, one day we're shooting off in a spaceship. The next day we're ballerinas, or we're, you know, baseball players, or whatever it might be. And then the next day, or the next hour, or the next 5 minutes, you know, we're dreaming all the time when we're young. But as we get older, you know, we go to school, and what have we been told? Stop looking out the window, pay attention, stop daydreaming. So we have all of these people throughout our lives telling us that, you know, we got to pay attention. You can't dream. And then we get out into the world and all of a sudden we forget how to do it. Yeah, we have a dream. And then it goes back on the bookshelf over here and we forget about it for a few weeks. And then we pull it back out front and we put it in front of us, and then back on the bookshelf, and we forget that we're dreaming. Now, what happened when I manifested this house was, how could I forget? Right? I was going out every day doing fun stuff. I was actually living in the feeling of what it would feel like to live in Costa Rica, to live with those lake views. My Airbnb had those beautiful lake views. It had the volcano views. So I was in that feeling 24/7. And it was just this little idea. But because I wasn't attached to how it was going to happen, or even if it was going to happen, it showed up lightning speed. So these are just some of the lessons. And, I didn't really finish the story of who I am. So I heard I was supposed to be a life coach. When I got here to Costa Rica, I took a course, got certified in life coaching, hated it, absolutely hated it. And, it was all about, helping people with time management and helping people solve these, daily problems that we have. But the reason I hated it is I knew that we could solve those problems all day long. And just like me, when I was going to all the big seminars, 2 weeks later, these people were going to dive off that cliff and be back to their regular selves, be back to their old way of being, because they hadn't reprogrammed the neuro pathways. They hadn't done the inner transformation that creates the outer transformation. And when we get that piece down, when we understand that, everything changes. So, like I said, I got certified. I went back to the US to visit my daughters, and that was May of that same year. This program fell into my lap. It's called the Dream Builder program. And it was like I found my home. And one of the reasons I was really attracted to this program, we talk about the law of attraction, we talk about manifesting, but the founder, Mary Morrissey, who is also, she was friends with Bob Proctor. She was such a spiritual being. And the premise of the entire program is based on we are spiritual beings having a human experience. When you're a spiritual being, you have unlimited power. When we're in this 3D world, when we're in this human experience, sometimes our powers feel diminished. But Mary had worked with the Dalai Lama on 3 different occasions throughout her life. She'd worked with the United Nations. She even worked with Nelson Mandela. I mean, just absolutely amazing human being. So I was attracted to this program for that reason, but also because it takes people through creating this dream, through what are those things that are holding us back? Why are we not living that dream right now? To creating the blueprints and taking the action steps to get there. So sorry, I kind of went backwards on that, but I wanted to share this dream part because that's how I became a certified dream builder coach. So most of us have forgotten how to dream. And what I want you to ask yourself tonight is, what would you like your life to look like 1 year from now, 6 months from now, 3 years from now? What would your best life, if money were not an option, what would it look like? Where would you live? Who would you be spending your time with? What type of things would you be doing? What kind of car would you be driving? What type of house would you live in? And what would you like your relationships to look like? Especially if there's anyone here that has maybe rough relationships in your life. Like maybe there's somebody in your life who you would love to have a better relationship with. Maybe it's your clients, family members, children, whoever that might be. What if every relationship in your life was amazing? Because the energy that you brought into that relationship was amazing. And then what about your health, your physical and your mental health? Many of us make the mistake of thinking that our physical health is the only health that we have. But the truth is, there is a mental health crisis right now, not just across the United States, but across the world. So many people living in depression, stress, and anxiety are off the charts. Many people are living paycheck to paycheck, and most people are 1 to 3 months away from financial disaster. And that causes long-term stress. And that long-term stress affects every organ in our body. They've done studies on this. So what happens is the stress that we're holding on to, and oftentimes we don't even know it. But if you think about some of the ruminating thoughts that you have, maybe the thoughts that wake you up at 2 or 3 in the morning, if you think about the thoughts that come into your mind that just go around and around and around, those are the things that are causing this long-term stress. But what happens is it releases acids. And what do you think those acids that are getting released out of your nervous system, out of your bloodstream, what do you think those are causing? The breakdown of your organs. And we wonder why there's so much heart disease. You see so many people that are living with fibromyalgia or these other nervous system diseases, Parkinson's. We have to take control of our lives, because I don't care how old you are. If you're on this call, I just turned 60 last week. I look at it like I still have a good 30 years left in me, if not longer. 30, 40 years left. Why wouldn't we make these the best freaking years of our lives? So many people, and I know I thought this as I was pushing 50, and I thought, oh my gosh, life is over at 50. I'm never going to be able to do anything but real estate for the rest of my life. I mean, I had these crazy thoughts going around like life ends at 50 or something. Life just started. Unfortunately, I didn't even realize that till 56. but, but when I realized life just started, all of a sudden, nothing can hold you back. And just like Mary Sue was just sharing how she just did some amazing world travel. I'm talking like epic world travel, right? Just like she just did that world travel, you know, this is when we get to do these things, because oftentimes we have more time on our hands. We get to recreate ourselves at this age in a way that we never got to do when we were younger. We were just busy trying to make the house payment. We got to start dreaming. Sorry, I kind of went a little long on the dreaming, but it's such an important part of this process. The second step, so the first step is creating that dream, learning how to dream again. The second step is breaking through those limiting beliefs. And this is kind of that ugly work, right? This is the hard stuff. And this is where I always say it's like peeling back the layers of the onion. You get one layer off and you're like, oh, there's something else there. Ah, there's something else there. And that's why people jump into personal development and they become addicted to it, because all of a sudden you can see the things that you couldn't see. You know, most of us, at least I was, before personal development came in, I couldn't see my behavior. Like, even when I was in the darkest of my depression, I knew I was in the darkest of the depression. I'd lost my parents, other things were happening at the same time. And I knew when I was in that, I hate to say it like this, but almost psychotic stage of the depression. But when I felt it a little bit better, I didn't realize that I was still in a depression for another 3.5 years. And that is a long time to spend in that state of mind. And that's 3.5 years that I can't get back because I couldn't see what I couldn't see. You know, the saying, you can't see the writing on the label if you're in the bottle, right? That was me. But then we also can't see our worthiness issues. We can't see maybe that we have some seething anger that's been hiding under the surface for a while, or maybe disappointment in ourselves for not reaching the goals or for making financial mistakes. We can't see that. I call it the victim mentality. We can't see that we're in that victim mentality, that we're blaming everyone else on our life not being what we hoped it would be. I mean, we might kind of get a glimpse here and there, but it's not until we really start peeling back the layers of that onion that we realize, oh, there's a lot more under there than I realized. So step 2 is breaking through those limiting beliefs. And most of us, knowingly or unknowingly, are carrying these old stories of scarcity, shame, worthiness, and regret. And this thing is, we rehearse those scripts day after day after day, year after year after year. And we've created these patterns in our brain, these neural pathways, that when we decide that we want to live a bigger life, when we decide that, hey, I want to start that business, hey, I want to, move to a bigger house. I want that house on the ocean. I want that amazing relationship. I want that amazing health. All of a sudden, that little voice, who are you to do that thing? Why do you think you deserve that? Now, some of this may even sound familiar from our childhoods, right? When we were told, you don't deserve that. Or you go to the store, and if you grew up and your family didn't have a lot of money, like my family didn't have, you're constantly hearing, we don't have the money for that. So all of a sudden we create this story. These are called paradigms, that we're not worthy of it. So this is where the neuroscience comes in. This is where we have to rewire those old patterns by creating new stories. And again, we have to take that dream off of that bookshelf over here and bring it right out front every single day, because the only way you're going to rewire is spaced repetition. And what that means is every day, day in and day out, you're creating a new story. And once you rewire those neural pathways, the old stories have to die off. And that's the beauty of this. Doesn't matter what age we are. This is just brain science. Manifestation is actually brain science and quantum physics. Step number 3 is identity upgrade. And how do wealthy women and wealthy men think? How do their minds work? And wealthy isn't just the amount of money that you have in your bank account. Wealthy is how are you living your life right now? Wealthy is how do you carry yourself? What is that energy that you bring into the room? Wealthy is waking up in the morning and doing what you love. Wealthy is getting rid of that mindset that's held you back all of these years so that, yes, you can start that business. You can lose that weight or feel that vitality. Wealthy is in every one of the relationships that you have in your life. What do those look like? How is the energy of that relationship? Because everything is energy, and this is the quantum physics of it all. Everything is energy. So we're constantly in this energetic dance. And so we're moving our energy up the ladder so that we can be in the energetic dance, that our dreams, our wealth, that our health and our relationships, where all of that lives. So wealthy millionaire mindset is having a different energy. Who are we at our core? How does it show up when we walk into a room? It shows up as if our shoulders are held a little higher, our back is a little straighter, our head, the way we hold our chin, the way we direct our eyes, the way we speak. We speak with an authority. It's the energy that we bring into the room. You see, millionaire minds decide differently. They decide from the fact that their dream, their goal is already achieved. They don't decide from the past or their current circumstances. So you hear so many people who they made it big, they lost everything, and they made it back again, usually in a very short period of time. How did they do it? They did it because they changed who they were. You see, if they grew up in a household that didn't have a lot of money, they had to become the person long before the money showed up in their account that was living that life. So they're living from their goals, they're living from their dreams, they're living from that energy, and they don't ever forget who they are. Until we change this mindset, until we reprogram those neural pathways, what happens is even if we make it big, and I'm speaking from experience here, guys, it happened to me, right? You will make it big. You will reach all your goals. And then because your thermostat of what you feel you deserve in your bank account or what you deserve in your relationships or out of life, it's set over here. And maybe you made it over here to your goal. You will self-sabotage and get right back to that. And like I said, I'll share the experience from when I was in real estate. I was killing it. I was making it well into the six figures. I lived at the beach in Florida. Like I had the life. I was a Sotheby's agent. I was selling high-end homes. And the next year, I was making the same amount that I made as a truck stop waitress in 1983. Okay. $19,000 to give you an idea. That's what happened. So I had a few years where I was making that big money, and all of a sudden, because my mindset, my thermostat never accepted that I was that person who was making well into the six figures. In fact, I remember I had a check in my car. That's back when they had checks, paper ones, you had to take to the bank. And I had a check in my car. I could have bought a house with that check. And I remember thinking, this isn't how it's supposed to be. You're a coal miner's daughter. And that next year is when I made $19,000. So it's so important that we do that inner work so that we become that person and nothing knocks us down from ever being that person. We're just that person all the time. And how do you do that when the bank account has scarcity, right? And that's usually the biggest question that most people have. Like, how do I do that when my circumstances are telling me otherwise. What it is it's becoming that person who's in that vibration 24/7, no matter what's happening in the outer world, no matter what's happening in the politics of the world, no matter what's happening in your bank account, no matter what's happening in your relationships or your job or whatever it is, finding the gratitude and setting that vibration. I wasn't going to, well, you know what? I'll share this in the Facebook group. And also for those of you who are not in my school community, I'll share it in the school community as well. If you're not in the school community, just let me know and I can send you the link to that. It's totally free. But there's this vibrational scale. It's a nice reminder of where is my vibration right now. So we have to do energy audits as we're switching, as we're not switching our, I guess it is switching our identity, but as we're becoming that person, we have to audit ourselves throughout the day. Who am I being? Am I being a person of abundance? Do I believe that I deserve the best? Because you see, wealthy people, millionaires, they buy the best because they know that they're worth the best. Doesn't matter if there's any difference in that thing or not. They're going to buy the most expensive because they want it. Now, we may not be able to do that in our bank account right now, but we can train our mind to start thinking like that. So I will share that scale with you because what you want to look at is where's your vibration? Where is your mindset predominantly set at? Are you in anger, depression, guilt, shame, unworthiness, jealousy? Those are the low vibrations. And what we want to do, again, I call this working up the ladder of it, right? Like if you find like, oh, I'm so angry at those things that are going on right now. What's next? What's the next best thing you can feel? Can you just feel maybe disappointment? Still a low vibration, but higher than anger. Okay, I'm so disappointed the way that thing worked out. Okay, now what's the next vibration? And at least get yourself up to complacency. And then once you're at complacency, then you can start to turn that story around. What can I be in gratitude for right now? How can I feel good in this moment right now? And Esther Hicks on YouTube, I watched it years ago, but she talks about the 17 seconds of appreciation. When you start doing that exercise and just going up the ladder of feeling good, what's the next thing that feels good? Do that for 17 seconds. You're turning that ship around in real time. Now you can go the opposite direction. Oh, I can't believe that person did that. I'm so angry. And then you can just keep going down that rabbit hole. And then you're in the vibration that is not where your dream lives. And this is where most people live the better part of their lives. They don't love their jobs. They don't love their bosses. They don't love their bank account or their home or the car that they're driving or in the wrong relationships, or even if it's people who they absolutely adore, the relationships have that, contentiousness about them, or one person's angry. And so we're living in that low vibration. So it's so important that we turn that around. So the fourth step is, who is our inner circle? Our inner circle is going to determine our mindset. So think about this. If you are in a circle of people who are talking the way that I'm talking tonight, the way that Marjorie was just sharing, the way that some of the others have shared, if you're in that kind of mindset where you're moving up toward that vibrational frequency of possibility, so you're no longer chasing the how do I do this thing? You're not chasing the tactics. You're stepping into the identity with other people who are doing the same thing. They're helping to call you out when you're in your old stories. They catch you and they bring you back. So I was just doing a live earlier today and I said, most people are like the crabs in the bucket that are always trying to pull you down as you're trying to lift your life up. They're trying to pull you down. So you really want to think about that inner circle influence. Who are you spending your time with? Because you are the sum total. Your net worth will be the sum total of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So make sure that you're spending your time with people who are moving you up, helping to pick you up when you're down, and helping you to see those things that maybe you wouldn't have seen on your own. So it's really important that you look around and really take a personal assessment of what is going on in your life, in your health and well-being. Again, not just your physical health, but your mental, your physical, your emotional, and even your spiritual health, your relationships. And again, it's just not a partner. This is all of your relationships, your boss, your coworkers, your, friends and family. What are those relationships like? Do an audit on your finances. Do an audit on your home and the energy in your home. And really start to understand that as we change our inner circle, we start to gravitate upward and we want to lift everything up, including the energies in our home or the way that we keep our home or our car or our finances. Those are the 4 steps of this process. And I'm going to get into a little guided visualization. I want to guide you into what would life look like if you were living your dream life right now. But and that's just it. And do you think that someone with a millionaire mindset ever thinks to themselves, oh, I can't believe this is happening to me? No, they expect it. The problem that I've seen, and I've been around a lot of millionaires, guys, a lot in my lifetime. Like I said, I sold high-end properties in Florida. I've got friends who are multimillionaires. What I've seen is oftentimes they may have the money mindset, but then their relationships are terrible, or their health is terrible, or especially their mental health, right? Because they never really learned how to ground those particular parts of their being. And we have to remember, we are the sum, like we're this whole being. We're not just, our body. We're not just our mind. We're not just our career or our bank account. We're the whole thing. That's why this work is so important. So we're just going to take 5 minutes, do a little visualization. And what I would love everyone, if you're not driving, to do is go ahead and close your eyes. And again, we're just going to set the intention and just be right here, right now. So take a deep breath in through your nose. Now hold it and out through your mouth. Keep your eyes closed. And I want you to imagine your life 3 years from now. Everything that you could have dreamed came true. It's as if you came onto this workshop and I had a magic wand and I waved it over you. So money isn't an issue. Time isn't an issue. You have it all. You have the health, the relationships, the money, the time. Where are you in the world right now? What are you doing? Who are you with? Are you vacationing or are you standing in your dream home? And wherever you are, ground in that spot right now. Just imagine being there. Imagine if you're in your dream home, you're looking around at your beautiful kitchen, or you're out on your beautiful patio and you're looking at your gardens or the view of the ocean or the lake, whatever it is that you're dreaming of, be there and bring that moment into this moment right now. If you're traveling, where are you in the world? Are you sitting at a cafe? Are you walking on the beach? I want you to hear what's happening around you. If you're at a cafe in Italy, do you hear the tourists walking by? Can you smell the lasagna cooking in the kitchen? Now really try and bring in all your senses. Can you feel the sun on your skin or a cool breeze coming off of the ocean? So bring in all your senses. What do you smell? Do you smell the salt air? Do you smell the newness of the leather in your brand new car? Or the beautiful floral scents in your new house with the beautiful bouquet sitting on the counter? Now, as you're thinking about this, I want you to ground yourself in, what is your health? Are you vibrant? Are you carrying that energy, that magnetic energy? that millionaire mindset. And how much money do you have in the bank? I really want you to ground into the finances. What do your finances look like? Are you able to go where you want to go, do what you want to do, treat the people that you love to the amazing vacations or a beautiful night out at one of the most expensive restaurants in town and not even have to look at the prices? Do you get to fly first class? Now, how are you dressed? Are you wearing materials that feel so good against your skin? Maybe a custom made suit or a beautiful linen outfit? And what is your mindset like? Do you have the mindset of someone who is living their very best life? Do you wake up in the morning excited to take on your day, grateful for everything that you've created in your world, grateful for the people that are in your world? Now, for those of you that have been able to close your eyes, I want you to just ground into what does it feel like? What is the emotions that are coming up for you right now? Living your very best life. And cross your hands over your heart. And as you take a deep breath in, bring those emotions up, whether it's joy, excitement, gratitude, love, abundance. Just bring that to mind. And then as you breathe out, push that into your heart, push that energy deep into your heart. Now take another deep breath in. And again, just breathe in the beautiful emotions of living that life right now, being that person right now. And out through your nose or out through your mouth and push it into your heart. One last deep breath in. And just know that if you can see it in your mind's eye, you can hold it in your hands. Now hold that thought. And as you breathe out, just let it go. And then slowly, slowly come back to the space. Come back to the here and now. And I would love to hear in the comments if anything new came up for you. That's how it happens. We have to remove the I want. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I want is going to kill your manifestation. We visualize as if the goal is achieved. We're living in that thing. And like you said, you won the house in a bid, right? So you had imagined it, it came to you. You forgot the words forever. I want this to be my home. But yeah, so thank you for sharing, because it is all our words create our world. Even the words that are happening in our head, they don't even have to be spoken out into the world.
Hey, I wanted to say something.
Yeah, please.
So something I've noticed about me that I'm learning is I definitely need to stop manifesting out of survival. However, what I have noticed is that everything that I detached from, everything that I was like, oh, I do want this, but then I kind of just moved on as if, I guess I detached from the universe, whether the universe was going to give it to me or not. And then lo and behold, 6 months, 10 months, a year later, I'm sitting there, and sometimes I might be mad about the situation. And then I think about it. I'm like, I asked for this. The part worked for me, and I have to learn how to switch that out and not do it through survival. But
And the other thing that I love that you said is, I manifested this. Like, you know, that whether it's good or bad, or whatever it is that you've manifested, or whatever it is that you're experiencing, we manifested it. We manifested it all. So you may be thinking like, oh, I didn't manifest that car accident. But the truth of the matter is, maybe you were thinking some low vibration thoughts and the car accident happened. Yeah, go
oh no,
ahead.
I totally agree with that. Because that something like that's actually happened to me. Like I didn't want to go to work that day, and then I was speeding to work and crashed my car. You
Oh,
know, so
wow.
so like I'm becoming hyper aware of how much of a master manifester I am, whether it's good or bad.
And we've all done it. So trust me, it's just part of this process. It's part of the learning, but it's when we take responsibility, which is why I love that you're sharing what you're sharing. You're taking 100% responsibility for the fact that, yeah, I manifested it. I manifested the good and the bad. Yeah, when we do that, when we stop placing the blame on the outer world, everything changes. So yeah, thank you so much.
Also a furthering of some of the stuff that we go into, right? It's like, and recognizing that we often manifest from our circumstances. And what we do in Dream Builders is a little bit different because we instead anchor the vibration of being in Italy, sipping some Pinot Grigio, and hearing all of the traffic and smelling the coffee, right? We're practicing those things and stepping from that space. And then that becomes like the circumstance that we're energetically harmonizing with consistently.
You're
Thank
absolutely right.
you.
And the thing is, we're taking that dream off of the shelf. Like I said, most of us, we might have a dream, and then that voice comes in, who are you to do that? Or there's something that I'll share in a little bit, how even like procrastination is a way that we are self-sabotaging and we don't even realize we're doing it. So we want to notice these patterns in our life. So we're taking that thing off of the shelf and we're bringing it right up front where we can see it every single day, so that we're stepping into it. We're reminding ourselves of our dreams every day. So yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. And like I said, when we can interact like this, it just makes it, one person's breakthrough is everyone's breakthrough. So thank you. The next thing I wanted to talk about in this millionaire mindset. So identity shifting is how we create that magnetic part of this, that magnetic energy that draws that dream to us. So we become a magnet for our manifestation. We become a magnet for our dreams. But what about those of us that have been walking around with these money wounds that we've been carrying possibly from childhood with us? How do we get through these? How do we even recognize what they are if we didn't know that we even had money wounds? And most of us, there again, knowingly or unknowingly, we stay stuck in these old stories of why we don't have the money to do the things we want to do, why the money isn't attainable for us. Again, if you could see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. The thing that many of us don't see are these stories that are holding us back. So there's 3 money wounds that I coach on in my magnetic mindset program. The first one is shame. Shame is that feeling of being unworthy of the money or maybe somehow wrong. You almost feel guilty when money comes into your life, or possibly even ashamed of wanting more. So remember, we become the sum total of the people that we're hanging out with. So if we've grown up like I did in a small coal mining town where no one had money, it was the 1970s, it's just what it was. There was 2 well-to-do families in the whole county and they owned the coal mines. And so keep in mind, it was 1970s. Life was very different back then. Having money, I almost felt guilty or ashamed as if it was something that wasn't supposed to be for me. So maybe we were taught that even becoming successful is selfish. Or who are you to want more? That's that shame money wound. And it can show up in other ways in your life, not just in money, but where else is shame showing up for you? Maybe you're ashamed to be seen on camera. So you don't want to start the business because, oh, you'll have to do what I'm doing right now. Or you'll have to start a YouTube channel. Or you'll have to start talking on social media. And that somehow is buried in shame, that not wanting to be seen. The second money wound is betrayal. And this is when we've experienced a loss or broken trust around money or some other disappointment or betrayal in our life. We've been hurt. Most of us have had a partner who's cheated on us, or we've had a business partner who didn't do what they were supposed to do, or maybe somebody in our family borrowed money and they didn't pay it back, and it felt like a betrayal. Maybe they just borrowed an outfit and never brought it back. Maybe they said something to you that hurt your feelings and you felt betrayed. So you see how even though this is a money wound, that wound could have come from so many places, but your trust was broken. And so having money or having love or having that next level career, that all of a sudden feels dangerous and it feels like the unknown. So your body almost goes into fight, flight, or freeze when you think about showing up on camera. You know, Stephanie is one of our dream builders, and Stephanie, just last month, I think, was scared to death to get on TikTok. But we were working on these wounds, and she made a promise to get on TikTok. And now she's like this TikTok, she's a makeup artist in Beverly Hills, guys. This girl has worked on the red carpet, and now she gets on and she talks about cosmetics and fashion and style. That's how quickly you can change the paradigm when you recognize that it's there. And that is the key, recognizing that it's there. So the third money wound is scarcity. And that's that persistent belief that there's never enough. This is that voice inside that says, if I get mine, someone else has to go without. Or because they have so much, that means we have to go without. Or because that person in my life is successful, I can't be successful. Or there's only so much success to go around. You know, and again, think about it like this. Many of this is subconscious thinking. We're not thinking it out loud necessarily, but it's going on beneath the surface in our subconscious mind. So those are our money wounds. And what we want to remember is money is energy. So if we grew up there again, hearing our parents talk about their own personal money wounds, you know, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, or those rich, you know what, or, you know, those people are evil. Unconsciously, you may be carrying that around in every single choice that you make. You'll carry it into the choice for your career. You'll carry it into how successful you allow yourself to be. You'll carry that into, you know, am I going to buy the generic brand or am I going to buy the organic? It's always going to feel like a choice instead of in that millionaire mindset. You just buy the organic because you buy the organic. You know, you buy the beautiful outfit because you want the beautiful outfit. So we get to look at where are we making those energetic choices from. It's going to determine your earning ceiling, how much you allow yourself to earn, how much you allow yourself to keep, your willingness to receive money in abundance into your life. If you want a more beautiful house, if you want to live in a different area, if you want an amazing relationship, if you want amazing health. You see how these three money wounds literally go into every area of our life. We're peeling back the layers of the onion. So we're discovering our money wounds as an aspect of those limiting beliefs about ourselves that we've been carrying around. And again, actually the money wounds are not part of the Dream Builder program. They're part of a program that I've created doing this work and watching countless lives literally change right in front of our eyes. But Mary Morrissey developed this next framework that I'm going to share with you on how you can see these different wounds or these different limiting beliefs playing out in real time in our lives. She calls them the 5Ds. And what this is our paradigm. If you don't know what a paradigm is, it's basically the stories that we tell ourselves that, we've made everything in our life mean something. If something happened as a child, we made it mean something. I have twins. My daughters are 26 and they're identical twins. So they actually have the same DNA, but they have different paradigms. They have different ways of thinking. Even though I was a single mom, they got raised by the same mom. They got the same amount of love. They slept in the same bedroom. In fact, up until a couple weeks ago, they lived in the same house. So they even had the same jobs, but they think so differently because of the different stories that they've created something to mean. Or how do we know when these things are showing up? That's where this 5D framework comes in. And I want you to notice where this is coming in and playing out into your life. Oh, she says that it all resonates. And so that's because we're all human. We all do this stuff. And that's why it's so it's so good that each and every one of you are on here learning about this, because I didn't know this stuff until I knew this stuff. Right. And like I said, for me, I was 56 when a lot of this came into my life, because I'd been chasing the goal-oriented personal development, the rah, let's go walk on those hot coals. Let's go break that arrow on our throat. Let's do that thing, rather than truly taking the time to look inside and transform what was going on inside of me. Because that's where every one of my limiting beliefs lived. It didn't live out there in the goal. It lived inside of me. So these 5Ds will help you transform, because now you're going to be able to catch these patterns in your life as they are happening. So the first one is dissuasion. How often do you go to do the thing, maybe treat yourself to something special, a night out, even if you've got the money to do it, or the special outfit, or even dreaming of the bigger thing, or maybe starting the business, or quitting the job that you freaking hate. But there's that voice in your head that says, who are you? Who are you to do that thing? You're too old. You don't have the education. You've never started a business in your life. That's dissuasion. Dissuasion is that sneaky little voice that's going to talk you out of stepping into your dreams. It's going to talk you out of living your very best life. Who are you to leave this terrible relationship and truly find the love of your life? Who are you to get up every day at whatever time you want to get up? No alarm clock needed. You just decide when you're getting up. You decide when you're going to the gym. You decide when you're going on vacation. You decide the clients that you get to work with. See, dissuasion will talk you out. The second D is distraction. This is when procrastination hits, guys. So distraction shows up, and this can show up in personal development. So like I said earlier, oftentimes we get addicted to the personal development. So you have to put like, okay, I'm going to work on myself 30 minutes every day, or 45 minutes, or an hour. Otherwise, you could spend your whole day doing personal development. For me, my distraction came in with meditation. For a long time, when I was trying to avoid doing the hard things, like picking up the phone to talk to a client or a potential client, into my next level, doing the YouTube videos, starting my school community, even starting my Facebook page, which many of you are in the Facebook page, even getting on and doing those things, I would distract myself. That's when you go do laundry in the middle of the afternoon, right? Like, you need to pick up the phone and do the thing, but you get all of a sudden you have to do laundry, or you run to the refrigerator to make sure the food is still there. Whatever distraction you can come up with. It could be just going out with friends when you should be, or you would rather be home working on your business. The thing is, if you don't change trajectory, I should say, of where your life is going, if you don't make the decision for your dream, nothing's going to change. No one's riding in on a white horse to save you from you. So we make that decision for our dream, and then we notice, when are we getting distracted? When are we doing those things that are going to take us away from our dream? And so we all do this, but now you'll notice when you're doing it. So when you catch it, you can stop it. You can create a new pattern in your life. Like, okay, I just got distracted. I'm going to just sit my butt back in that chair and do that thing. And that's what I had to do when I started my coaching business, because I was scared, guys. I'm an introvert. When I first started coaching, the idea of getting on camera and doing this was terrifying. Now I do it, it's just second nature. I love this. This is my favorite part, getting to meet all of you, getting to be here with you, getting to share this information. This lights me up. But to get here, the things you need to do, that's where I would get distracted and not do the thing. The third D is DEF CON. DEF CON is a military term. That's literally when your body goes into fight, flight, or freeze, and you're going to feel this somewhere in your body. As an introvert, I remember going to my first networking meetings, and I would just sweat from head to toe. Like, my face would turn red, I would sweat, my palms would be sweaty. You may notice it in your stomach or your heart might be racing, but DEFCON, that just know that you are perceiving a danger that's not real. This is something that came from, the years when, we could get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Like, it's that kind of thing. It's not, there is no danger there, but yet your nervous system is wired to perceive that there is a danger. So what can we do when we notice DEFCON coming on? We stop, we notice the reaction that our body is having to the thought, and then we take the deep breath in, we settle our nervous system, and then we change the thought to a new thought. That's not so scary. I'm just picking up the phone. That's not so scary. I can do that thing. So you can pick up the phone, you can send the text, you can start the business, you can start the YouTube channel, you can get on social media, you can start your own Facebook page. And if you do that, you've got the support of everyone who's on this call right now. Our community, we're creating that community of people around us so that we can support each other and lift each other's vibe up. So the fourth D is disdain. This is where we have blame and resentment. And remember, on the money wounds, oftentimes, I grew up in a very poor family. My parents had stories about people who had money. So there was blame and resentment around people who had money. Maybe there's blame and resentment for your parents because they didn't encourage you to go to school or to take a chance, or they didn't take you to travel, or maybe they were just narcissistic and abusive. We have to let that go. Disdain is not going to move us to the next level of our life. And then the last D is deficiency. And that's where we just don't feel like we're enough. You're never going to be enough. You're never going to live up to someone else's expectations. You're never going to be good enough on YouTube. You're never going to be good enough. I tried my hand in network marketing for 9 years. And yeah, I was pretty terrible at it because I didn't have the mindset to make it work. Even though I love the business model, I love the products, I love the people, I was never, ever, ever going to be enough. Because the woman who had brought me into the business, well, she was one of those, when I met her, bringing in $50,000 a month type of people. She was also from Iceland, almost 6 foot tall, absolutely drop dead gorgeous, well-spoken, lived in New York City, worked on Wall Street, and I was never going to be that. See how I self-sabotaged myself for 9 years? Thank goodness I was still working my real estate business during this time. But even though my thinking mind, because I had been a successful realtor, I was a successful realtor. So in my thinking mind, I'm like, I'm going to get to the top of this company. I'm going to rock this thing. I'm going to be amazing. I'm going to be a leader. My subconscious mind was in deficiency. And then I was doing the DEFCON every time I went to go to a network meeting, do something that was uncomfortable. And then I would go into distraction. Again, noon on a Tuesday, I think I need to go do laundry. I need to go make sure there's still food in the fridge. And then I would go into dissuasion. I'd talk myself out of it. Who are you to do this thing? And then blame and resentment, because believe it or not, I was blaming her for being so perfect. I was blaming myself for being so unworthy. I was just blame, blame, blame. So you can see where this can play everywhere in your life. But when you notice it coming up, now you can flip that thought around, because first we have a thought. The thought creates a feeling. That feeling is going to tell us what our thoughts are. Is that a high frequency thought, or is that a low frequency thought? So we have a thought, we have a feeling. That feeling causes an action or a reaction. These 5 Ds are those reactions that are coming from the subconscious mind. So now when you notice the reaction that you're having, you go back to the thought. How do I change that thought so that I can now respond versus react? So I hope this is a big breakthrough for everyone, because this is probably the most important concept that will change your entire life if you learn how to master this. So I'm like giving away all the good stuff here, guys.
Okay, so I want to say what you just said in my language, because I feel like I followed your rabbit hole, because that's a really good one. So what I'm hearing,
Okay.
of course, the thought, whatever comes up in our brain, and also remember that our mind is an autonomous thing. So you're pointing that out. of saying, hey, let's bring this in awareness. So this thought that first brings forth that first feeling, and then it either causes the action or the impulse to go do something, and then you're saying, hey, right here is where we interrupt that thought pattern to then recreate a new thought for, like, oh wow, I don't feel like I look great today. Oh, why not? What's going on here? Right?
Yes.
We could do to help fix or change this or make it feel better.
There's other things that you can do, like to change that thought. There again, if you take that deep breath in, you recognize it's just a thought. Most our thoughts are not real around in there, but it doesn't make it real. And it's probably one of the biggest mistakes most people make is they think that their thoughts are real. Again, to notice our thoughts, we can decide what's real and what's not. And then we can throw those old limiting beliefs away because they were never our stories. They got implanted. Yeah, go ahead.
And then it's so who is it that I'm creating myself to be? Is that person talking to themselves like this? Right? And even help
Mhm.
create that extra reflection, if you will. Like when we're being dream builders, right? It's this is the dream that I'm building into, and I am that frequency, right? And so it's recognizing that as we say that we are, right? Abracadabra, so I speak, so I create. You want to talk about spilling
Mhm.
secrets, right? It's like ancient Aramaic. We know that we create the words that we speak, create worlds. And then it's the catching ourselves that allow us to then, what am I working on creating? Right.
Exactly. And these help us catch those thoughts in the moment. When we can see the patterns, we notice the patterns of our life, and then we go back to, oh yeah, I was doing that thing. How do I now change this thought? And you go up the ladder of the thoughts. You get to gratitude, you get to excitement. That's where, so I don't know if you've noticed, but the dream, right? We did the visualization, step one, dream. Step two, we were going through the money wounds and these 5Ds that show us those limiting beliefs. That's where we come up with this, busting these limiting beliefs. The third step in that process that, I kind of outlined earlier is this magnetic identity shift. We did the visualization, right? So we could see it in our mind's eye. But then we're busting those old beliefs, but changing that thought process in the moment, right now, right now, right now. And it takes practice. It doesn't happen overnight. But one day you wake up and all of a sudden you're like, you catch that thought like that. And if it wakes you up at 2 a.m, you catch it and you're like, I'm not going there. It's 2 a.m. I want to sleep. And you roll over and go back to sleep. Like it's literally magical when you figure this out. But now we're on step 3, that magnetic identity shift. And we do that through visualization. We do that through our words. We do that by shifting our energy in the moment because everything is energy. The problem is most of us, we're so stuck in those wounds. We're so stuck in those limiting beliefs and those paradigms. We don't believe that we can create that life that we want and deserve. Someday I'm going to live that. Someday I'm going to buy that house. Someday I'm going to do that thing. Guys, someday never comes, because then you talk yourself out of it again. There's something else that comes up. You get distracted on some other part of your life. Someday I'm going to exercise. No, exercise now. Someday I'm going to, do this visualization that Mindy's talking about. No, you got to do it every day. That's how we change our life. Life isn't waiting for us. Every single minute we have the opportunity to shift our identity, to shift our energy, and to step into that millionaire mindset. So with that's the process of this. And of course, surrounding yourself there again with that community of people who uphold you, the community of people that's helping you to shift your energy every single day. This is so important because if you're going home every afternoon or spending every day with the Debbie Downers, people who are complaining about the relationships, complaining about the money in their bank, complaining about what's going on in the governments around the world. If you're listening to that every day, It's like the crab in the bucket that's pulling you down. And if you are that person, notice it. Notice when you're doing that so that you can shift it in the moment. So I use what I call my magnetic millionaire blueprint. I would share the blueprint right here, but I already shared a little piece of it, the visualization part. There's a lot more to this where we can shift our identity. But if we don't do the inner work first, we're doing the work, which is what I thought I was doing when I was in the network marketing, reading all the books, going to all the seminars, doing all the stuff. I was doing the work, but I wasn't peeling away all the limiting beliefs that I had, all those emotional blocks around money, all those disappointments that I dealt with my whole life. And so nothing really changed. So, you can do the identity shifting. You can start with the visualization, but it's so important that you start doing the deep, deep inner work. That's what I now call the hot coals, is working my way through all of the paradigms, all of the old stories. And trust me, I've been coaching this now for 3 years. I've been in personal development for more than a decade. And I still have things come up, guys. We're human. And so just know it's just par for the course. That's why, if you know who Bob Proctor was, he was doing this work well into his 80s. I mean, months before he died, he was still doing this work because he was a human. Once you start doing this work, you're always doing it because we're always trying to become that best version of ourselves. So the last step is that inner circle influence, and it really does matter who we are around every single day. So China just had the realization, yeah, just do it instead of trying to come up with the perfect plan. There is no perfect plan. There is no perfect plan. Yeah, it is. You're so right there. Like, we have all these plans, but yet we don't follow through on them. What if we just decided, I want that thing? Think of it like this, like we're looking at this screen, right? We're looking at our dream. It's right here on the screen. But the problem is we're spiritual beings having a human experience. The how is out here somewhere. It's not on our screen. We don't know how it's going to show up. My ex went to the gym here in Costa Rica, and for 3 days straight, he kept coming back saying, this lady wants us to look at this house, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, we're not buying a house. We didn't have the money. He's like, yeah, but he was a really nice guy. And he's like, let's just look at it just to make her happy. And finally I was like, okay, and let's go look at it. I walked in and I'm like, I am so in love with this house. I didn't know how any of this was going to happen. What are the chances that he's in a gym in the middle of nowhere, Costa Rica, and we manifest a house? That's why we want to upgrade our people that we're around. But here's the thing, it doesn't mean that we have to ditch the people in our life. What we do is we build an energetic armor around us. And as we change, we notice that either the people in our lives begin to step up with us. Like, we set boundaries, but not on their behavior. We set boundaries on what we will tolerate before we shut off the conversation. We set boundaries around, I'm not going to gossip about people. And if you continue to gossip, I'm going to leave this conversation. I'm going to hang up the phone. I'm going to leave the room. So we're not setting boundaries for them. We're setting boundaries for us. And we're drawing that line in the sand that I will not partake in this conversation. And we have to remember that they don't always understand that they're doing that thing, that they're pulling us down. So what we want to do is set that boundary for us, never go beyond that boundary. Like, when it happens, we have to show them, like, okay, now I'm sorry, but I'm leaving. I'm leaving this conversation, not leaving your life, and watch them start to step up. So yeah, Karen, please.
Yeah, I'm loving this so much. China, thank you for sharing that personal story about your auntie. I have a similar one with my auntie, and I chose to just cut her off for a couple of years because it was just she was she had a lot of doubt. And I know, I've done a lot of self work, personal growth development, all of that. And so I know that she's coming from a place of just being really worried for me. And worried about my financial situation, having separated from my husband at a time when nobody expected it, particularly me or him. And So when I told her what I was doing, that I was moving out to Florida from New York and blah, 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 she was like, oh my gosh, and all the negativity, all this stuff. And I couldn't take it. And so and because knew that I was already in a vulnerable space. So I put my hand up for you, Mindy, to thank you for giving me another framework for this, that I don't have to necessarily cut people off, but I could just set boundaries around what conversations I am here for and what conversations I'm not here for. And that is so liberating and powerful. And fortunately, I'm already at a point where I'm looking for ways to incorporate it back into my life. But I realize now, also not just with her, but with others, that it doesn't have to be like all or nothing with them. Just kind of how my ADHD mind works anyway. Learning that there are other avenues. So thank you for this.
Oh,
It's really
you're
powerful.
welcome.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing that, because, the thing is, we can't expect anyone else to change,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and so that's the biggest disappointment in life, is expecting other people to change to meet our expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we only set the expectations for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
What will I tolerate in my life?
Mm-hmm. I love
Where
that.
do I draw the line in the sand?
Mm.
Because remember, we teach others how to treat
Yep.
us.
Yes, we do.
And, Stephanie's on here. She's one of my clients, and she and I actually met through this type of work. We were both students of Bob Proctor's. And, she was having some things with her teenage daughter at the time. I think her daughter was 17, maybe. And her daughter was going through a rough time. She was being bullied in school, different things were happening. But because of this work, Stephanie changed her energy, which changed the energy in the house. Her daughter literally just flew off last week. Didn't know how all this was going to happen. We were doing a fundraiser for her. Because she got invited to play in Vienna. She's a violist, and
Wow.
she's one of the youngest women violists to play in some of these different things. He changed her energy.
Mm.
Kids are watching, guys. Like,
Mm.
if you go to my personal Facebook page, actually, I think even, in the group, you'll see Isabella. We were doing a fundraiser for her. You'll see Isabella. And a couple years ago, that was not Isabella.
Mm.
Right? So just know that, like, your energy is going to affect everyone in your life. And there will be people that will vibrate right out because they can't be around your energy. It's too strong for them.
Wow.
So, and that's okay too. So yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. And you real quick, if you are at all interested in coaching with me, we have built an amazing community. And community really does make the difference. Like the morning calls, Nancy and Stephanie run our morning calls. We have the Dream Builder program next week. I'm launching the next Dream Builder group. It is a 13-week program, actually 12 weeks, but I do a welcome week. And then you get to be a part of this morning community that we have that is absolutely amazing. So we do spend 30 minutes every morning working on ourselves. We're creating a new habit in our life, a habit that's going to serve us for our dreams, for the rest of our lives. And these beautiful ladies run those calls. So we spend 30 minutes doing whatever study, the Dream Builder work that was written by Mary Morrissey. I'm a certified coach, or the magnetic program. And then we spend the next 30 minutes on camera. And that's when we share our gratitudes, we share our wins, and we talk about our dreams. So we're taking the dream off of the shelf and putting it right there in front of us where we can see it. I love group coaching because, just like tonight, when we're sharing, when we're speaking it out loud, we're getting so much more out of it. That's why I love the interactiveness on my master classes, because we all have breakthroughs with other people's breakthroughs. So in the Dream Builder program, we learn more about these 5Ds. We create that blueprint for the life that we would absolutely love to live. And then we learn how to start putting those action steps into place. So what we're really doing throughout most of the program is discovering what the heck is holding us back. And then, of course, you get the community. And that's 6 days a week where we do these phone calls. So 6 days a week, that spaced repetition. And that's how we reprogram the subconscious mind.